Hello, fellow occupational therapists. My name is Ali, and today I'm going to help break down the journal assignment that's provided for the Capstone I course to help you find your emerging area of practice you wish to focus on. So to start, you want to go ahead and think of emerging areas of practice that are listed within the American Occupational Therapy Association website. So I went ahead and pulled that up just here. So we have the children and youth, health and wellness, mental health, productive aging, rehabilitation and disability, work and industry, ethics, manage your practice, evidence-based practice and research, and occupational therapy assistance. You want to think of these areas of practice not as a direct correlation of like, okay, I'm gonna pick this area and that's it. Like, think of it as an umbrella term. So for occupational therapy assistants, you might explore the defining the roles of occupational therapists versus occupational therapy assistants and how they're different within different environments, or you may advocate for them to empower their role within different settings. So for example, recently Medicare has kind of reduced their role quite a bit with reimbursement. So that might be something to look into. Another aspect you can consider for a future project. So if we take productive aging as an example, and productive aging involves the geriatric population, so it's the older population, 65 years and older. This may include various aspects. What is productive aging to you? So what avenue of productive aging you want to work in? It depends on your interest primarily. So you can look at maybe elderly and driving. That's an aspect, that's an emerging area. Occupational therapists as driving therapists or assistants, or kind of helping to ensure that older individuals are safe to drive. That's an avenue that is not very well known or explored in the conventional sense. We're mostly known for hand therapy or working in clinics or working within a hospital, but you want to explore outside those areas, or you want to look inside those areas and find evidence-based practice or different ways of treatment for an individual. Maybe you want to look at the quality of life of an individual, maybe including the family more. Maybe you want to look at how the caregiver is influential in the recovery process of an individual with stroke. So there's all sorts of avenues and venues you can take that occupational therapy may fill. So this all comes back to occupational therapists holding many hats. We can spread ourselves across different areas, different practices, and maintain different roles. So try to envision yourself if you were to take productive aging, imagine you can either work with driving or you can work with home modification. So productive aging may be aging in place. You may think an individual who's been living in a home for 20 plus years, and now they have a hip disability or a hip fracture, or they might have a mental decline, cognitive decline, or they may have a CVA. So now they're not able to perform their activities of daily living or their instrumental activities of daily living. So where does our role come in within that setting? We are able to provide recommendations and adaptations, but how well reimbursed can we work in that setting, or how well researched are our interventions? So looking at how an individual's quality of life might improve in the home modification sense might be a good aspect as well to look into. It's just an idea. You can always explore different areas of practice. So I've went ahead and brought up the journal topic. The instructions basically indicate that you're meant to identify an area of research to explore, and this can be brand new, or it can be an area of current research that you're led into. So maybe you're looking into a very broad topic and you find something particularly interesting, so you research that further. You can go that route as well. It's just basically however you want to find it. But if you already have something in your mind of what what got you into occupational therapy, think of it that way. When you applied for the occupational therapy program, you were asked what made you choose occupational therapy. Why did you join to be an occupational therapist? Because of X, Y, and Z. So you could relate it in that way. You might already have your answer, and you just have to specify it even further, which is going to help your article researching. So we're gonna, and this is just a little example here with women's health and occupational therapy. That should be available to you, but I'm gonna show you the example I had when I completed this assignment, which primarily is looking at occupational therapy and underserved or impoverished populations. That was the topic I chose, and the reason I chose that was because I had previous experience working amongst that population. So I had a passion and a drive to research it further, see how occupational therapy is currently working, what's currently provided, and how we can, what can we do. So your first aspect for each journal entry is going to be the action area right here, where it's going to ask you about, what did you find when you just researched the broad spectrum of things. Once you've seen a couple of studies and kind of got an idea of what you're looking for, you want to form a PICO question. So if you remember PICO, population, intervention, let's see here. Oh gosh. Comparison? You want to form a population, intervention, comparison, and an outcome question. So you want to really hone in on that question, what you're looking for. So basically right under, I indicated that occupational therapy may treat psychiatric behavioral conditions, modifying the physical environment. So that's kind of, it's a little similar to home modifications in that sense. OT services for impoverished, that was another area I found. And food insecurity, there was a couple of other ones as well. So that was kind of like the broad net. I just kind of tossed it out and I was like, okay, what's out there? This is what's out there right now. So now I formulated my PIO question, because there's not really a comparison in a sense, so I just did a PIO. I made mine as among lower socioeconomic and minority populations, do occupational therapy services facilitate occupational performance and or a higher quality of life? That was what I was seeking to find out. So that was the main driving question. So now with that question in mind, you want to put in keywords within the search bar and look up 3 good articles. And you want to try to sum those articles up. And that's basically what I wrote here. So these 3 paragraphs basically indicate each study individually. I was looking at it, explaining what it was about, and then thereafter in the thoughts section, you want to explain why you chose that. Why did you choose that article over the other one that might have been there? I went into my own personal background in terms of, those particular topics, obviously I found something very specific and unique about it, so that's why I chose it. But also, when you're talking about your thoughts, you want to talk about what are your values? Did it relate to your values? Did it relate to what you perceived as important as an occupational therapist? You can indicate your past experience or education just to help kind of drive the decision-making process for that article. So I said I was in the health and wellness field. I helped individuals who didn't have financial means to afford health services, and that I would help them with that, or that I worked within the community as well. So I enjoyed that topic and I was, interested in it. The next section will be feelings. So just how do you feel about it? Do you feel passionate or do you feel kind of meh about it? It's all gonna drive your ultimate decision. You want to try to find something that's passionate, because this is something You're going to inevitably be researching a lot. It's going to be something that you're going to be pouring your heart and soul into, basically, because it's a lot of dedication and time going into this. And then finally, you want to look at the reflection. So basically, as a occupational therapy student, currently looking prospective in the future as a therapist, what can you do to help with this particular topic? So what action can you take? So you want to think, what's realistic? What's realistic for you to achieve out of this? Try to think, how does this topic relate to where you inevitably want to work in the future? Do you want to work in an outpatient setting? Well, what happens in a pediatric setting might affect how you are in an outpatient setting. Advocating for OT services will affect all areas of practice inevitably. Helping one type of population will affect other populations. So think of like the health model. So that might be a good way of thinking of the reflection. Just think of like what can you do? What avenues can you take to assist in this topic as a practitioner? So finally, you have your references, and I basically listed my 3 articles here at the end, just in typical APA format. So essentially, that's about it. So you're gonna have, I believe, a journal article entry once a week, or it's, I believe, 6 total. I think it's 6 total in the semester. And yeah, so each one is gonna be outlined just like this, and you're gonna be looking at a particular aspect, like advocacy, for example, and finding a particular demographic and topic, and it's basically meant to help you focus on a certain area for your doctoral specialty internship and capstone that you're going to be doing in your last year of the OT program. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. If you have any other inquiries, bring it up to your professor. Thank you and take care.